From The Selfish Path to Romance, download Chapter 1 for free at drkenner.com.
You want to know the truth? Fine. I had an affair, and it's not anything I'm proud of. And now that I've answered all your questions, do me a favor. This is never to be brought up again, understand? End of discussion.
And believe it or not, that's from Frasier. And here's a related situation. You're dating Tom, and Tom thinks the world of you. But you can't wait to get into work so that you can hang around with Andy. Andy visits you at your desk. He sits on your desk and talks with you. You work on projects together. You take walks during your coffee and lunch breaks, and you're confiding in one another. It doesn't take long before you're flirting. You find yourself putting on makeup when you're going into work. You find yourself wearing shorter skirts. And one day, you find you can't resist Andy. The energy, the chemistry is just there. And then you're overtaken by a powerful emotion. And it's not love. It's guilt. Every time you look at your boyfriend, Tom, you feel guilty. He doesn't know what's happening at work. So you coach yourself. You tell yourself on your ride home, I'm really happy with Tom. He's all I really need. But your mind keeps going back to Andy. Well, one listener is totally swimming in guilt. She's confused, and she has no idea how to resolve this situation. Think of what you would advise her. Think of your own experiences in your life. Would you tell her that, what your boyfriend doesn't know can't hurt him? Just keep it quiet. Flirt with Andy at work and have a separate life with Tom at home. Would you tell her to tell her boyfriend, Tom, the truth? Would you tell her to dump Tom and start dating Andy? It's obvious that's where her heart is. Or would you tell her to dump both and start all over again? So how do you make a decision when you're dealing with crushing guilt and you want to resolve the situation in the best way possible? And I'll answer her question later on in the show. Another listener writes from Calcutta, India, Calcutta University in India, and he wants to know a very simple question, the definition of happiness. It's the topic of his doctoral dissertation, and I'll help him out. Now, we tell little kids things such as, go tell Grandpa how much you love him, give him a big smoochy kiss and a hug. It will make Grandpa feel so good. Well, what if Grandpa makes the kid feel awful? Maybe the kid hates him. Maybe the kid's afraid of him and can't stand the cigar breath that Grandpa has and doesn't like it when Grandpa yells at him. Are we teaching kids to lie? Are we teaching them to appease, to sacrifice their own judgment, to fake their true feelings? And for what reason? Are we teaching them to lie under the guise of teaching them to be polite, to make Grandpa happy, to make other people happy? Are little white lies okay or not? Would you want your best friend or your partner, your spouse, to tell you little white lies? And what does it do to your relationship? Or more fundamentally, what does it do to you when you tell a white lie? Think of the feeling you have inside you. We will explore the minefield of white lies later on in the show. And also later on in the show, I'll be talking with an author and sex therapist, Dr. Barry McCarthy, about one of the hardest things for couples to talk about and one of the most important things in the relationship. I'm Dr. Ellen Kenner. My show is The Rational Basis of Happiness, and it's a call-in talk show. You can pick up the phone right now and ask me any question that you would like to ask a counselor or a therapist. You can change your name. You can change some of the details so that you have some anonymity. That's fine. But you can pick up the phones now and call me at toll-free 1-877-Dr. Kenner. That's toll-free 1-877-DR Kenner. You can write that down, toll free 1-877 Kenner. So think about problems you're having with your kids, your spouse, your in-laws, maybe your aging relatives, maybe you're having anxiety and depression within yourself, or you procrastinate, or problems at work, or problems you just can't jumpstart yourself. Those are all the sorts of problems that we deal with on this show. Again, it's the rational basis of happiness. Here is an email that I received from Charlene, and this is the one about relationships. And she says, "Dear Dr. Kenner, I need some advice. I'm currently in a relationship with Tom. I recently became friends with a coworker, Andy, whom I immediately connected with. We started to hang out almost every day, more so than with my own boyfriend. I honestly did not think of Andy other than as just being his friend. As we started to hang out even more, we became a lot more comfortable and very flirtatious. Then 2 days ago, we ended up having sex. The funny thing is, we still treat each other the same, and nothing has changed between us. However, both of us feel a ton of guilt because I'm in a relationship with Tom. Andy and I decided to put our relationship on hold because of it, but unfortunately now I'm so confused about Tom, I find myself constantly thinking of Andy. I keep telling myself I want to be with Tom, and I'm happy with him, but deep down inside I have big doubts. I need help. Please advise, Charlene." Okay, Charlene, this reminds me of a song that I heard as a kid. I used to love this song by the Lovin' Spoonful, so those of you who are old enough will remember it. It's, "Did you ever have to make up your mind? Did you ever have to make up your mind? Pick up on one and leave the other behind. It's not often easy.
I get the idea.
And not often kind. Did you ever have to make up your mind?" So that's exactly the position that you're in. Your boyfriend, Tom, believe it or not, already knows that something is way off in the relationship. You can't hide those type of conflicts from someone that's intimate with you, who knows you so well. So he may detect that you're not as relaxed and as caring as you were when you first fell in love. You may be acting weird around him or too overly helpful. You may be driven by guilt. Or you may be reluctant to kiss him, feeling that you're cheating on Andy. He may even suspect that you've fallen for Andy because you may have been talking about Andy, this good friend at work, and you light up when you talk about Andy. So if you try to keep it a secret, you're going to make your life hell. You're going to be deceiving Tom, you'll be living a double life, and you'll also be carrying that ugly guilt of betrayal and intensifying that guilt by not taking action. But you need to do some keen introspective work before you touch base with Tom. You need to do this soon. You need to know how to disclose it tactfully, directly, and forthrightly. But the introspective work comes first. You need to understand yourself, your own emotions. And so I recommend that you do some real careful thinking in private on paper, uncensored. Toss the papers out later because these are your private thoughts. But you're going to want to think about, what are your big doubts with Tom? What are they? You've got to be able to become very specific. And when we come back after the break, I'll pick up on this. We also will be talking about happiness and white lies and your calls and questions. Toll free 1-877-DRKENNER.
Here's an excerpt from The Selfish Path to Romance by clinical psychologist Dr. Ellen Kenner.
It is essential that partners take the time to show their love for one another as often as is feasible. Do this in both actions and in words. But what if a partner refuses to listen or respond, for example, using the silent treatment? This may be an attempt to control you by deliberately causing you to feel intimidated, helpless, upset, and even desperate. It is a cruel way for a partner to act and must not be tolerated for long. Either both communicate or there's no relationship. The bottom line in communication is that romantic partners need to let each other know, in word and deed, that they fully value, understand, and accept each other, and that they are all each other's needs and wants as a lover.
You can download Chapter 1 for free by going to drkenner.com, and you can buy the book at amazon.com.